All right, RichE, how's it going today?
It's going good. Another
Good.
podcast. Ready to get started.
Back online here. Excited because today we're going to do a pod that's a little bit more on the advanced side. So it's going to be more for the advanced merchants looking to take their business another level. Also, when I see comments from customers and merchants, the thought I want to intro here is that selling online isn't just selling on your own website. Now the landscape has changed a little bit. You need to have feeds. You need to be selling on marketplaces. You need to be selling everywhere you can online. So I think we have the perfect partner to bring on. Let's bring on our guest, Mayon from Channable. Mayon, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Good. And how was my pronunciation?
It's
Average?
it's all right. It's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
heard worse.
Okay. Good. Good. All right. First step done. So, Mayon, why don't you give us a little background in what is Channable?
Yeah, so Channable, we're a Dutch company. You might hear it from my accent. We were founded in 2014. And right now, we like to call us a multi-channel e-commerce platform. So we started out with a bit of feed management, which is still our very core, but we've grown to a place where you can basically advertise or sell your products online everywhere. So we have the marketplaces, we have the advertising channels. Yeah, all of that you can basically manage from Channable. That's it very short. I think we'll go in more detail the rest of the podcast.
For sure. So now I think more advanced merchants probably what feeds are. For people that are like, what are you talking about? Like, give me a little background. What is a feed? Why do you need it?
Sure, yeah. So the basis of this is your own product data. So you have your Ecwid store, you have all your data, your titles, your descriptions, your stocks, anything related to your products in there. But then the next step is that you need to make that data ready for the channels or the platforms you want to sell on. Say you want to go Amazon, you want to go Google, Facebook. You want to make sure your data is optimized for these platforms, and feed management is a way to do that. So using our platform and simple if-then rules, you can transform data. Maybe you need to use a different color, or you want to change your price a little bit depending on which platform you're selling on. Basically optimize, transform, and filter your products to get them ready for the channel you want to sell them on.
All right, perfect. That does help. So I think a lot of people, when they start, maybe you do your first feed on your own, like a Google feed, maybe the Facebook feed, and you'll know it can be a hassle. Like these
Yeah.
things break. If you're doing it from a CSV, kind of a pain. So it sounds like you at Channable kind of remove that friction and make sure the feeds are always working.
Yeah, exactly. So we try to make it as easy as possible for you to sell, well, any channel and any number of channels as well that you want to. Each of these channels want a different format. They want an XML or they want it via an API. We take care of all the complex stuff, and in our interface, you can map it to the right channel.
Okay, that's very good to know. I know from personal experience that, yeah, one or two feeds you can handle, but then 6 months later, you find out, oh, my Pinterest feed is broken, or my Google feed is missing half the products, or go on down the list of the various problems. So,
Yeah.
okay. So, thinking about other feeds, marketplaces, places you want to sell, obviously, in North America, the big one is Amazon. Can you give me a little detail on the Amazon integration and how that works to connect your store to Amazon?
Yeah, so Amazon uses a direct API connection. So you basically push your products directly from Channable to your seller account on Amazon. First step will be connect your Amazon account to Channable. This is very easy. And then you can get started setting up. So you start by filtering your products, making sure the data format is all right. Amazon has quite a complex attribute system where, depending on the category, you really need to have some detailed information. So we see a lot of customers that don't have this standard in their product description, but then use our tool to fill this in, especially for the more like electronics. This is something we see a lot. We have, of course, I think it's called the shipping profiles that you need to put up. You can choose to sell via FBA or FBM. We can also set that in Channable and make sure that everything is right to be sold on Amazon. So yeah, that's the gist of it. You push it and maybe something needs changing. We'll give you an error message back saying, hey, you're missing this information, you're missing that information. And then you iterate until everything is 100% correct.
Got it. Now, I have sold on Amazon before, and I can tell you it's a bit daunting for the first time seller. You didn't even mention ASINs. So
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to have ASINs, which is
Yep.
Amazon stock something number. I don't know. It's like a UPC. So like you have to have that. And you mentioned quite a few other things there. So let's say you've been selling online a little bit, not on Amazon yet, and you're doing this first time. All these extra attributes, do they live inside of Channable? Do they live inside of Ecwid or both? Or where do they live?
It's a bit of a mix. Like I'd say most of the basic features, like if you talk about fashion, you have a color and a size. Now that also need that in Ecwid. But more complex or more detailed specifics that maybe don't want to put on your shop, that you can also fill in Channable only. So you just basically say, okay, for all these products, this is the same value, just use that to get the data correct. Important is the more you have on your Ecwid store, the more complete that is, and the easier it is to complete your setup in Channable as well. Basically, a big part of your success is having your product data correct so that you can really focus on filtering and optimizing in Channable.
Yep, we've heard that one before as well. Like if your description is basic, you have one photo, one sentence description, like that's not enough. So
yeah, exactly. You can use our tool to read information from that description, put it in a different field or transform it to a different format. But if the data is not there, then you have basically nothing to work with. So yeah, we can help you to a certain extent. And our support team is very creative in creating all these rules and helping you get settled.
well, good to know. Yeah, let's talk about the support because I think that's one of the, if you tried Amazon on your own, like it can be frustrating. Okay, so you do your first sync and you probably get a bunch of errors and things like that. So your support team, what do they do? Help walk you through the various fields you need and such?
Yeah, it's a good point indeed. So we do have a self-service tool. So the basic of the tool is you can do most of the things yourself. I think it's good to mention that for all our new clients, they get their first setup for free. So that means our support team will do the initial setup. And then after that, they're definitely there to help you solve most common errors. We have a very experienced support team that has seen most of them already. So can definitely either help you directly to solve them or advise you on the best approach. So yeah, if the tool is not sufficient, then our support team is there to help you even further.
Okay. Yeah, good to know. It can be frustrating. Everybody, like, hang on, don't get frustrated. Talk to support.
You can get through it. You can get through it. Yeah, definitely.
All right. So let's say you get your first sync done with Amazon. I heard you mention repricer. So what does the repricer do?
So basically, repricing is trying to win the Amazon buy box. I think that's the core of it. But the buy box, I think most people will know, is what you get, the product or the offer that is on the buy now button or put the basket button, depends a bit on the marketplace. And price is definitely one of the core factors that determines which offers or which seller wins that buy box. And I think about 80-90% of all sales go to that buy box. So if you're not there, it's going to be very hard to make an impact. And what you can do with the repricer is basically say to us, okay, I want a maximum price, don't go above that. And of course, a minimum price, very important, don't go lower than that. And within those boundaries, we try to win the buy box for you. So we adjust your price to win the buy box at the best price for you. And there's some ways you can optimize that for how you want, but that's the gist of it.
Okay, that's really interesting. 80 or 90% goes to the buy box? Is that
yeah, the numbers I find are differing a bit, but yeah, it's about 80-90% definitely. So it's pretty important that you're there. So the first step is getting your products on there, but then the second step is getting the actual sales and getting the people to buy your product. But one of the first steps I advise to take is definitely look at your price. Will repricing help you get the buy box? Is that the problem?
Okay. I get a feel for the rules there, like don't go below this, don't go above that. And like other people have repricers as well. So I'm assuming the price is kind of always moving around. Everyone's trying to get the best price.
Yeah, that's a risk of it as well. It's hard to prevent, like you get a price war, you price each other down and then everyone's cheap. And that's also not what you want. So it's sort of like trying to figure out what's the best balance between being very aggressive or not, basically, yeah.
Okay, that's good. And yeah, also another reason why that's pretty hard to do on your own. Like how many times are you logging in on a daily basis?
Yeah. If you have like 10, 20, maybe 50 products, you can check. But yeah, we have merchants that have thousands, 100,000 of products that they want to also on Amazon. So you definitely need to look into automation tools to make that efficient.
Okay. Yeah. Very helpful. I mean, we could probably talk quite a bit more on Amazon, but we'll kind of keep moving because I know you work with a lot of other platforms. I would say we talked a little bit about getting started and assuming it's Amazon, but what other platforms or other tips would you have for people, scaling up?
Yeah, so Google Shopping is, I think, what the most used channel within Channable. So that's definitely a big one. Facebook is also more and more used. Quite a lot of people are starting to use that as well, mainly for advertising, but also shops. Social commerce is growing as well. TikTok is quite heavily investing in that in the UK and the US now. Those three. And if we talk about marketplaces, I mean, in North America, you have now Walmart getting bigger and bigger for certain merchants that would work really well. You have, of course, eBay, maybe Wayfair in the US. And in the Europe side of things, we have more specialized. So Amazon is definitely a big one. In the Netherlands, we have bol.com that people might know is a big one. France is an interesting marketplace country. You have many big ones that you need to sell on. I'm naming a Cdiscount, for example, very big one there.
Okay, so now, and is it similar with the other platforms? Like, do they all have their own rules and you need to... Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they all have their own rules. They all have their own things you need to be aware of. Some might be better suited for one category of products than others. Another trend that we've been seeing is that Amazon is a very big marketplace that does everything basically, but you're getting these more niche, smaller marketplaces that specialize in electronics or in sportswear. So if you are a bit farther down the line in e-commerce and looking at one of those smaller ones where the competition is less fierce, could also be very valuable.
Okay, so then you don't have to worry about this buy box quite as much.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, good. Do you have any recommendations on maybe under the radar platforms?
My experience there is mostly focused on Europe. So we have Decathlon that is back in France and in Europe, a sports marketplace. DIY platforms, marketplaces are also coming up a lot. So you have Leroy Merlin, for example, in France. I think Wayfair is pretty big in the home and living DIY spectrum as well in the US.
Yeah, Europe is a little bit more fragmented with the various platforms as well. So another reason why you really need a third-party marketplace platform.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Do you have any merchants that might be like they're in North America trying to break into Europe or the opposite? And then do they need to warehouse their products in a different continent or?
Yeah, that's a big issue, right? If you want to do cross-border. We see some people from mostly Europe want to sell in the US. And then what we see is basically they use Amazon's fulfillment network, the FBA, to handle fulfillment. So they do have to ship it to the US, of course, but then fulfillment network of Amazon can be leveraged to get through there. The other way around would also be possible. We don't see that as much happening yet.
Got it. Obviously, it depends, but some of these marketplaces also have their own shipping network, like, you know, like TikTok is kind of breaking into that now.
Yeah, interesting move from them, definitely. They're pretty serious, seem to be, about the social commerce side of things. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We could probably have a whole podcast about that as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. They went big on fulfillment. So,
yes.
Okay. Now, let's say new Ecwid E-Series merchant wants to work with Channable. What's the tech integration look like? The onboarding? How does that work?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You can go to the Ecwid App Store and search for Channable there. And then there's our app, which explains a bit more about what we do. And there's a big button that says that you can click, and then we automatically create a connection with Channable, which means we can now access your Ecwid store. Then you can import your product data in a few steps. And then you can basically start experimenting with some channels, start setting up. We have a very extensive help center with guides on how to get started. And like I said, if you want support to help you with your first setup for free, then they can do that for you or answer any of your questions.
Okay. And then as far as the workflow, perhaps, like you mentioned FBA. So like, let's say you sell on one of these marketplaces. Does it get imported into your Ecwid store? Does it get sent somewhere else? What's the actual workflow for fulfillment?
Good point. Yeah, that's of course, once your products are there, you need to start managing those orders. So most of our customers have us do that. So we can import the orders from the marketplace, from Amazon, to your Ecwid store, where from your Ecwid store, you can handle the shipment, and we'll process the shipment update and send that to Amazon as well. So basically the whole loop, and then make sure the stock is synced as well. I think that's actually the most important reason to use that connection, because otherwise you'll be making a lot of people sad that their product is actually sold out. But yeah, there's, for example, FBA users. If you do only FBA, you might not need all of that because Amazon is handling all that for you. So then you can not do that and just make the listings via us. But yeah, for all of our marketplaces, we offer that ordering and stock sync as well.
Got it. Okay. So very flexible. Yeah. Like if you're for FBA, for people who don't know, that's fulfillment by Amazon. that would mean that you already sent the inventory there. So maybe you might have a separate spreadsheet for that inventory or.
Yeah, exactly. How you want to handle that. So it might be good to mention as well is that our pricing is completely modular. You pay for what you use. Basically, if you want to do marketplaces, you pay for marketplaces. If you want to do advertising, you pay for advertising. So that also means that it's easy to scale, right? If you want to try advertising for a month, you're free to do so without like setting a contract for a year or something like that. So it's ideal to grow with you. That's how we try to organize our whole product.
Okay, good. And actually, you mentioned on the modular side and advertising. So I understand you just released a Facebook advertising, or not a Facebook, an Amazon advertising ability. Can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So we already mentioned that it's not enough to only put your products on Amazon. You need to really actively try and get the top position. So with Amazon sponsored products, you can basically advertise your products and put them on the top of the search results. And it's a great way to start getting clicks on your product to get the revenue coming in. And with our product, you can set and manage all of that within Channable. So you can set up your campaign, set up the structure, and there will also be coming an automation on that so that you can make it performance-based as well, so that you make sure your ads perform as you want to. That's just in very short. I can do a whole podcast on Amazon advertising as well. But yeah, what we saw in the market really is that people need advertising to get started on Amazon.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Amazon ads is like a whole specialty now, but I think the short takeaway for people is on Amazon, you must advertise. If you don't advertise on Amazon, you basically will not have success. I think that's basically true.
Yeah, it's basically true. I mean, exceptions apply, of course, always. But what we see, what our customer told us before we started developing is that they need it. Otherwise, they might not even try Amazon. Yeah,
for sure. So we'll save that for a future pod. RichE, any thoughts you had here before we wrap up?
No, I just want to reiterate for the listener what a blessing this could be for them. They open their store, they're wondering where they can get more merchants. They've done all the hard work. They've gone on social, they've placed ads in different places, and they realize, wow, our customers might be in a lot of other places. So with one company, you can be in many different marketplaces and you don't really have to do a lot of additional setup other than getting started with your credentials in that store, wherever that may be. And the fact that it's modular and you pay for what you're using, that's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, I think so. For people that have not had the frustration of feeds, go ahead, set up a feed and you'll deal with some frustration. And then when you want to get a little serious, I think then you'll actually know the value of paying a third party to manage all the feeds, because it is a frustrating part of an online business, and you would not be the first person that has that frustration. So, and
basically, if you want to sell everywhere, you need to have a strategy for everything, right? You cannot duplicate what you do for Amazon on Google and other way around. So what we always hear from people is automating this is great, because then I can spend time thinking about how to get more value from the platforms I'm selling on, instead of using an Excel to update my feeds information.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've seen these errors. I've banged my head against the desk and saying, what is going on here? Like, oh, there's some error code of some sort. I don't want to deal with that. So thank you for building a platform that helps manage all that and can help get your products everywhere. So Mayon, if people want to find out more, where should they go?
So first, our website, it's simplychannable.com. There you find all the information about our platform. If you're going to get started right away, you're already in your Ecwid store, just look us up in the App Store, look for Channable, and there you find our app to get started.
All right. Well, thanks again for being on the pod. For everybody listening, advanced merchants looking to take it to the next level, you know what to do. Get out there and make it happen, everybody. Bye-bye.